Okay, well, I tried putting every card in the set into a tier list, and the video ended up being well over 2 hours long. So let's split this up into individual ink colors. So what I want to do is start with amber, go to amethyst, emerald, ruby, sapphire, and still, and then end off with all of the dual ink colors. So why don't we address just the amber cards in the set, and we're going to address them from D all the way to S. S tier is meta defining cards. These are cards that are going to change the way people build their decks in order to be able to compete against these cards. D tier are cards that are vanilla, do nothing, stats are, nothing special, or they, just bad cards in general. There's not a ton of terrible cards, but that's why there's no F tier, but there are going to be cards that are just lackluster. A tier are really, really good cards that in their specific kind of archetypes or decks are going to be excellent, going to see lots of play. They also could spawn, their own archetypes if they're strong enough. That's kind of what the A tier is, in my mind, is reserved for. B tier, they're solid cards. They may see some play. They may see some fringe play, or they might be in fringe decks that are and I hold those fringe decks together. So, but B and C are still good cards overall, right? C is, a reasonable card, might see a little bit of play. B is a pretty good card that might see a couple copies into a deck, even established decks, or it could be good enough that it could be considered to establish its own deck. A tier is going to be cards where we're going to see multiple copies in a deck. It could be an option to replace another card in a deck right now that is strictly a better upgrade. But S tier is reserved for the cards that are truly changing the game. So let's tackle Amber first. We did say Amber. So let's see here. Let's start here. We have King Stefan. That's a 5-cost inkable, 4/7, quest for 1. It is a vanilla card. The stats are good on it. I personally don't see where this card ends up having that much impact on the meta. I don't think that this is gonna see any real play personally. Moving on, we have Roger Radcliffe. He's a 1-cost inkable 1/2. Whenever this character quests, you may remove up to 1 damage from each of your puppy characters. They're pushing puppies with the amber and sapphire color pairing. This guy in the puppy deck, he's probably okay. I don't know that you want to dilute your puppy deck with this card, though. I think you want to go heavier on the puppies due to cards like Thunderbolt and Perdita. So I don't think that he sees really any kind of play. Maybe fringe playable in the puppy deck. Maybe top of D. Low C. Moving on, we have Trusty. That's a 2-cost inkable 2/2 quest for 1 with support. I don't particularly like this card. Support's not really been traditionally very good. It sees very little to no play. Maybe in the future, if it was good, you may be able to make an argument for this to see a little bit of play, but even then, I think there are just better cards with support. Let's look here. We have Susie. It's a 4-cost inkable 3/4 quest for 2. Stat line it's okay. It's nothing special. It's I probably will see no play. Totally, honest here. Um, we have Mittens, the sassy street cat. This is a 5 cost uninkable 4/5 2 lore. It's bodyguard. Once during your turn, whenever a card is put into your inkwell, your other characters will bodyguard get +1 lore this turn. It's cool that this cares about bodyguards. This kind of feels like it clearly wants to go into a color pairing like Amber Sapphire. I don't know. This card's weird. I don't dislike this card, but I don't really see where it totally fits in the meta at the moment. I could see possibly it being, playable in some strange Amber or Sapphire build that doesn't focus heavily around puppies and bodyguard. I mean, around puppies. I mean, it has to be focused a lot more around bodyguard for it to be good. Let's see here. I think this Aurora is next, right? Yeah. All right, Aurora is our first legendary. So 3 cost inkable 1/4 quest for 2 has Singer 5. Whenever you remove 1 or more damage from a character, ready this character, she can't quest or challenge for the rest of the turn. I have thoughts on this card. So the first thought that comes to mind is that this is kind of in a weird space between Ariel and Ursula. Ursula is a 2 cost 1/4. It only quests for 1, and it's a Singer 4. But it is coming down on turn 2. Ariel comes down on turn 3. This is kind of, in a way, it's kind of competing with 2 other really important cards for Steel Song, and it's specifically. And I think that that's where this card really goes. The 2 cards that it's competing with is very obviously Ariel. Ariel is really important to hit. Sometimes she misses her song that in the top 4, but she's really impactful. She's a Singer 5. She finds you a song, and Ursula comes down a turn earlier, and she sings your basic songs. She also sings your And Along Came Zeus. Obviously, Ursula cannot sing A Whole New World, and Aurora can. Aurora also has the added benefit that if you do Rapunzel Aurora, you will be able to ready her up and sing another song, or just ready her up and keep her safe. My concerns are that not only does she compete with Ariel, I guess I didn't complete my thought earlier, she also competes with Shifting Robin Hood on 3. And I know that not everybody plays that line. I think that line is still really, really strong. And, if the meta is going to be split up between super control, red, blue, and aggro, Robin Hood is just going to be getting a little bit better. Ursula holds damage the exact same way that Aurora does for Rapunzel to heal and draw cards. That said, I don't think Aurora is a bad card by any means. I think that Aurora is a good card. I just think that she's in an awkward place. I don't know that this is what you want to be doing on turn 3. I think if you don't have an Ariel and you don't have a Robin Hood shift, then she's great. If you have those other cards, then you're probably not playing this card in your hand. Maybe you're inking her. Maybe she's a follow-up. But yeah, I think this card is good, though. I think this card will see play in Steel Song. I just don't know where. I think it's a B tier. I think it goes into Steel Song. I don't think that you're playing a full four of them. Maybe I'm wrong. Let's see here. We have Cinderella is next. And yes, Cinderella. This is the 4 cost inkable 2/4 that quests for 2. And it says when you play this character, You may put an item card named the Glass Slipper from your discard on the bottom of your deck to gain 3 lore. This card is entirely... The value of this card is entirely predicated on the Glass Slipper. And we'll be jumping ahead a little bit here in my thoughts on this card and the thoughts on the Glass Slipper. But, and I can go ahead and rank those two cards right away. Let's go ahead and look at the Glass Slipper really fast. Here's the Glass Slipper. So it's a 2-cost, uninkable item, and you can only have 2 copies of the Glass Slipper in your deck. You can banish this item, exert one of your Prince characters, and search your deck for a Princess character card, reveal it to all the players, put that card in your hand, shuffle your deck. You can only have 2 copies of this card in your deck. You have to have a Prince on board. You have to exert that Prince. Then you can search for a Princess and put it into your hand. I think that this combo is bad. I think this is a bad combo. I don't think that this sees any play outside of just having fun. And for that reason, I'm going to put both of those cards into the D tier. I think they're both terrible cards. I don't know that it would have been too strong to not have to have a Prince on board to exert, and to just have the Glass Slipper come in, you banish it, you find this Cinderella, and you can only have 2 copies of it. I think that probably wouldn't have been way too strong. But instead of it being, a good combo, it's just a terrible one now. It's a cool flavor, and I think that, lore-wise, I think it makes a lot of sense. It just, from a competitive game mindset, this combo will not see play. Okay, let's move on. Let's go ahead and talk about Mariano Guzman. He's a 3-cost inkable 3/4 quest for 1. While you have a character named Dolores Madrigal in play, this character gets +1 lore. This is not going to see play. This is my opinion. This card is not good. Maybe in your draft or fun decks, it can see play, but this is not going to be breaking any kind of meta. We have Candlehead. This is a 2-cost inkable 2/2 quest for 1. When this character is banished, you may remove up to 2 damage from chosen character. It's a racer, and that is relevant. It's a 2-cost. It's 2/2. It does something when it's banished, but that something may not be very relevant. I don't particularly like this card. So we're just gonna put it there. Bolt. Yeah, 4-cost 4. So it's a 4-cost inkable 2/4 quest for 2 support Bolt. I don't like this card either. I think this card is bad. I don't think there's anything else to say about it. We have the Prince, 2-cost on inkable 0/5 bodyguard. I think this card is interesting. I think it has the possibility of seeing some play. So I put it in the C tier. 5 willpower is a lot and will be difficult to overcome. Calhoun is not going to eat this thing for breakfast without having to go into it a couple times, or to spend a song plus challenging just to get rid of one character. I think that this character is interesting. It's a little unfortunate that he's uninkable, but yeah, I think he's decent. Moving on here, we have Isabella Madrigal. Is a 5-cost uninkable 3/3 that quests for 4. Whenever one of your characters sings a song, this character can't be challenged until the start of your next turn. Okay, in Still Song, this card is really good, actually. I preface that, I caution that, though. Still Song does play a lot of uninkables. This is just another uninkable to add to Still Song. I don't think that you're playing 4 of this card. However, this card being able to protect itself or be protected by other cards is really interesting. I don't know that it wants to protect itself necessarily by singing a song and then readying itself back up. Or I guess it can't be challenged. It's not really readying. Questing for 4 is no joke. That's pretty strong. And I could see this being a really good way to close out some of your games when you're getting close. Steel Song can sometimes get, 18 lore and then really, really struggle to close out the game, especially when they're playing against red or blue. This could, maybe this is a great answer to that. I struggle to believe that red-blue matchup is going to get any better. It probably only gets worse, but I do think that this card is actually really good. And for that reason, I want to put it into A tier. I think it's really good. Next, we have Wreck-It Ralph. That is a 6-cost inkable 3/8. So very big stats. Quest for 1. During your turn, whenever one of your characters is banished, this character gets +1 lore this turn. So this card is kind of in an awkward place. I think you want to put this card into the racer deck, but he's not a racer himself. And mostly that's because of the racer, the King Candy racer, whatever he's called, Turbo, letting you kind of challenge in and put your racers back in your hand. So you're losing board presence, but you're not losing cards. You're still maintaining cards. And that lets him quest big. And this really is a weird card because he's going to be hard to take out with that 8 willpower. But he is 6 ink. And it's kind of a weird thing. The board needs to be a very attrition heavy board. My prediction for this metagame going into set 7 is, at least in the beginning, that will not be what the metagame is. It will not be an attrition heavy metagame. My thoughts are red-blue is going to dominate very heavily in the beginning. I don't know what's going to happen after that initial burst, but maybe it stays dominating. Maybe the format works itself out. But for what I predict, at least at the beginning of the metagame, I don't really see where this card has a place. I understand the philosophy with the racer deck and, sending a bunch of your dudes to take a bunch of their dudes off the board, and then you're still getting a bunch of lore. I mean, I could see it in the racer deck, maybe. Maybe there. I'm tempted to put him in D, but I think that he's got a little bit more value than that. Let's go move over to Kenai. Kenai is a 4-cost inkable 2/4 quest for 1. At the end of your turn, if this character is exerted, you may ready another chosen character of yours and remove all damage from them. I don't know. I'm not convinced on this card. His stats are okay. He quests for 1. He's kind of reminds me a little bit of like Simba, the shift one that when he's exerted, you ready up all your other characters. That card is so fringe as it is, and is, I think, a better card than Kenai. And that card sees virtually no play. And I get that it is uninkable and it costs 1 more, I believe. And it's a 3/3, I think, but it quests for 2, and it readies all your characters. This readies one of your characters and removes all the damage from them. I don't know how relevant that is. I don't love this card. I can't see this being better than Rapunzel. In fact, it's really fighting. It's in the same slot, right? You're not readying the card, but I'll draw cards over readying cards every day. So I don't see Kenai having a spot. Rapunzel is still probably the best legendary that Amber has. It may stay that way for a very long time. Kenai is not dethroning that card in any way, shape, or form. I don't think it's playable. Okay, Minnie Mouse. This is a 2-cost. Yep, 2-cost uninkable. 1/2. Has quest for nothing. But it has, whenever you play this character, or whenever you play a character, this character gets +1 lore this turn, and whenever this character quests, chosen opposing character loses strength equal to this character's lore until the start of your next turn. I think this card sees play in like one deck specifically that it's really good in, and that's kind of like the Pride Lands Simba Rockstar Stitch style deck. That's a lot of cards that you have to have at once to make this go and pop off. If you live the dream, you could quest for like 10 or 12 off of just Minnie Mouse. But if you're playing against a deck that's going to be able to control your board state, wipe your board, challenge your characters off the board, keep you from having, any real presence, you top deck this Minnie Mouse into an empty hand and an empty board. This is a terrible card. It doesn't do anything. Yeah, like you could play a character next turn and it can quest for 1, but so what? I would rather have the Lilo Escape Artist. It costs 2. It's inkable. You can bring it back from the discard. And it lets you have virtual card advantage by letting you play it from the discard and drawing you a card. Like when you draw your card, you get to hold on to that card, especially if you're low on ink. So I don't see where Minnie Mouse really fits in. This is a legendary card, and I understand that there's the capacity to quest huge. I just don't think that that's very realistic. I could see this card. I gotta find this card. There it is. I could see. No, I just can't. Maybe we put it right at the very, very tip top here, or at the very bottom. I just don't think this card's good. Snow White, 4 cost inkable, 2/2. This character can't be challenged. Quest for 2. This is super cool. Just can't be challenged. That's it. There is no red tape, no conditions. You just can't challenge this card. It costs 4, which is a lot. I would have loved this card a lot more if it cost 3. And it gets hit by the vast majority of removal, but I think that's clearly by design so that it wasn't oppressive. I think this is a fine card. Could see some play. I'll put it over here. Put it in the C tier. All right, Coda. 3 cost, inkable, 2/2, quest for 3. It's fine. Maybe in some aggro decks it's enough. I don't love it. It just quests for 3. If you get to ready up your ink the next turn after you play him, you get to quest for 3. He's a 2/2, so if it's a attrition based, but I'm thinking of all these things. I mean, this thing's trading. Calhoun's eating this thing without getting banished. Tons of removal eat this thing. It is much, much better than a 1/1. So it's better than like the Pinocchio, the 2 cost Pinocchio that quests for 3. That's 1/1. I mean, it's inkable. Maybe it finds a home. I don't know. I'm not too optimistic about this card. Put this up here. I think it's better than Minnie. I'd rather top deck this than I would Minnie. Calhoun. 3 cost inkable, 2/4, quest for 1. When you play this character, you may choose and discard a card to give chosen opposing character -3 strength until the start of your next turn. This is a common. This is not like the Steel Calhoun, and it's not like we can compare the 2 cards. 2/4, it's okay. Questing for 1. It's really the fact that on play you get to do something. Now you have to discard a card if you want to use this ability, but this could be really pivotal in something like a Diggy Diggy Hole deck. This is expensive to be playing in there, but you could play this in there and, discard Lilo, Escape Artist, for instance, and give your opponent's characters -3. Your opposing Calhoun's, for instance, they hit for nothing. Protect your Smees. Let's see. Protect your Cinderellas. Protect your Daisies. This card has a chance to see some play. I think this card's not terrible. Pepa Madrigal. 3 inkable, 2/4, quest for 1. Whenever one or more of your characters sings a song, gain a lore. I don't see this seeing any play. I don't know that it's strictly D tier, but I don't see this seeing any play. We have flutes. Flutes are uninkable. They cost 1 less. They're an item, and I do think the item hate is going to increase in this upcoming meta. But this requires a character to sing a song. And this has the same thing as flute. It's whenever one or more of your characters sing a song, gain a lore. You're only gaining 1 lore off this thing. If it said whenever a character of yours sings a song, gain a lore, then I think that it would be. So, maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe you can gain more than 1 lore off this, but at the end of the day, your characters have to sing the songs. And this set has a lot of hatred, a lot of hate for cards that exert to sing songs. There's the Pirate, there's Gontu. There is enough there that this card will struggle, whereas being able to just play the songs outright with flute on the board is going to guaranteed give you something. I don't think that this card's, yes, it's body, yes, it can rumble in if it needs to, and it quests for 1, so it does a little bit more. I don't know. Do I think the card is hot garbage? No, but I think that if you're going to go this route, I would probably go with flutes, even with the increased hate for items that I predict is going to come. So Much to Give is a 2-cost inkable song. You draw a card, and chosen character gains bodyguard until the start of your next turn. Okay. You draw a card. It's a cantrip. It's a song. And you give something bodyguard. Just some ideas here. I guess you could sing this with. Cinderella. Give Ursula bodyguard. Have Ursula sing, one of your high value songs like Zeus, or I don't know, Let the Storm Rage On or whatever. And she's a 1/4. It gives you the opportunity to get that Rapunzel heal off, but I don't know. Maybe this card can see some play. I don't think this is going to see much in the way of play. All right. Amber Coil, 1-cost inkable item. During your turn, whenever a card is put in your inkwell, you may remove up to 2 damage from chosen character. We've seen these kinds of cards before in the past. This is not seeing any play. This is unplayable, my opinion. Spaghetti Dinner, 2-cost uninkable item. Fine Dining, you exert it, you pay 1, and if you have 2 or more characters in play, you gain a lore. Yeah, I don't like this card. This card is kind of like the... Okay, so let me rephrase that. I do like the card lore-wise. You can see the 2 spaghetti strands. They're going to Lady and the Tramp, and that's why that's why it's kind of asking if you have 2 or more characters in play to gain the lore. But realistically, if you're playing this card, what you want out of a card like this is, if I have an empty board, can I still progress my game? This card says no. This card is just, in my opinion, kind of a win more card. I don't like this card. I don't think this sees any play. Thematically, it's cool, but it's not a good card. Canine Crunchies. This is a 1-cost inkable item. And it says you can be a champion too. Your puppy characters get +1 willpower. It's a 1-cost. Maybe your puppies can live a little longer. If you're playing a puppy deck with the 99 puppies and all that stuff, it's maybe in that specific deck it's fine. I don't want to be, against steel, this is a decent enough card, and against red, this does about as much as playing nothing at all. So yeah, this is kind of my prediction, is that red blue is going to be absolutely terrorizing the metagame, at least for the first month or so. And this card will be not very effective. That being said, I'm not really sure that Puppies is going to be an incredibly meta defining deck. And you know, as far as a fun deck, I think that Canine Crunchies is, you know, it's a fine card. Maybe we can put it here. And then we've already rated the Glass Slipper. I thought that card was pretty much unplayable. And that does it for all of the Amber cards that are not dual ink. We're just rating the Amber cards, and we'll rate all the dual ink cards on their own. But just the Amber cards here, this is my final list. I do not think that any of the Amber cards in this set rise to the level of meta-defining, meta-warping, whatever you want to call it. Isabella is the closest thing that we're getting to a card that we should be including into an existing archetype, and that's Steel Song. Personally, I think that it has a great shot. Aurora has a good shot of seeing a couple copies, and I think Isabella might see a couple copies. She's on Inkable. She's also 5 cost, so she probably sees, you know, a little bit of play, but not 4 copies. There's already a lot of Uninkables in Steel Song. And Aurora is kind of like stuck in that weird spot where she's combating your turn 3 shift Robin Hood, your turn 3 play Ariel. So I think she's a little bit awkward. I think that she does combo really well with Rapunzel, drawing you cards, letting you get to sing another song that you might find off of that Rapunzel, and I think that's really interesting. It's just that she's in competition with some really, really good cards. And this is not a good excuse, but she's also in a really, really scary zone for her strength. With that 1 strength, Ursula is also 1 strength, but I don't think you're really riding a whole lot on Ursula. Whereas this, yeah, I don't know. It's not a great argument. She does quest for 2. You know, she does get something done. So I guess worst case scenario, you can, you know, let's take another look at this card. Like, worst case scenario, you can challenge in, take a bunch of damage, play Rapunzel, heal up a bunch, ready her up, and sing song. Or if she's already got damage, you go quest her and then do that. She's got a lot of potential, but she's just in a really awkward spot as far as what you're playing. So those are my thoughts on the Amber cards. Let me know what you think. Am I off on this thing? Is there cards that you think should be definitely higher up? Do you think any of the Amber cards should be up in S tier? So yeah, let me know what you think on this.